Warning: the following podcast show that you're about to listen to will include explicit language and content in which you, the members of the audience, may find offensive. Audience discretion is advised.
Welcome to another episode of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience.
Yeah, boy.
Where anything and everything is a subject matter on the show, and no subject matter is ever taboo.
Damn, that's what's up with you.
And now, your host with the most, Mr. Kim Hoang. Bro, am I getting paid for this?
Yo, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? How are you doing? This is your boy, Kim Hoang, the Asian sensation, recording another episode of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. And we're here today making another episode. And I'm just glad to be here in the booth, right here in front of the microphone and recording this all for you guys, you know, as well as myself, but mainly for you guys. And I'm glad to just, spend my time here with you. Hector was actually here a little bit earlier today, but he had rolled out a little bit early. So, he's not here at this very moment, but he is going to get paid. He is going to get paid, and he is going to go ahead and, do what he needs to do for the rest of the day, because his duties and his, professional obligations here are done with for today. So a big shout out and thank you to Hector for just, taking care of us, doing our thing together, and just, making sure that whatever it is that we need, we got. And it's good. It's really good. The purpose of today is going to be a little bit more different, and the format of the episode is going to be a little bit more different. But overall, though, nothing's going to change in the terms of, creating a great episode for you guys. In this case, it's going to be a very serious and informative episode. So I hope that you guys are okay with that. If for some reason that this is not really for you, that you don't seem to think that this is kind of, where, it's not up your alley, or this is something that's not happening to you or something like that, that's fine. That you can go ahead and kind of just, skip this one if you wanted to. But if you want to stick around to hear it, to show your infinite support and, your love for us, then I really do appreciate that. I got to be honest with you. Before recording this, I did take a little time to do a lot of research, and when I came up with the information that I did, I really at one point was very concerned, because I don't think that I've really covered something very serious before in a long time, or at least not as serious as this type of situation that I'm about to drop. I was at one point really considering not even doing this episode at all. Now, it doesn't have to do with anything about politics and or religion. I want to, state that for right now, just to let everybody know, because they're probably thinking, oh, he caved in and he wants to talk about politics and religion. No, I don't want to talk about that. Never that. But this is something that is serious. This is something that really does happen. I think a lot of people are going through those motions, and I think for some it's something that is needed to have, like, I guess you can say, an icebreaker of an understanding that what's going on and how serious that this is. Now, I want to emphasize that a lot of people that I know are really shocked because, they don't really think that this type of thing exists, and they never heard about it. And I probably will repeat that one more time, at least during this portion, or this whole episode in general, because I want to remind people that when it comes to the mental health game, your mental health is very important, guys. It really is. Not just the physical, but the mental as well. You know what I'm saying? Without the mental, without, the brain, the body can't function, right? One cannot exist without the other. And today, I want to get into it. I really want to get into the situation of talking about mental health, how important it is, and I want to talk about two things specifically today. One, I want to talk about, anxiety and how real it is. And I want to also share in the next segment about something that happened to me recently with a recent anxiety attack, my panic attack, if you will. I had a serious panic attack, and I was very, very, I had reservations about it. Like, I was really scared to just put it out there. But I feel like if I go ahead and share to the world what happened, number one, it's going to create awareness for others. Like, wow, we didn't know that could happen. Number two, we didn't know that could happen to a guy like, Kim, because he's always such a very positive person. He's not the type of person that's willing to, get into fights or arguments or stuff like that, because he tries to avoid that at all costs. And trust me, I do. I always do try to avoid, conflict and arguments and so forth, because that's just not my way. That's not my MO. That's not my style. And the fact that, with this happening, I wanted to be open about it. I wanted to be open about it so that way that if people hear my stuff, they might themselves say, like, wow, I think that I'm suffering from the same thing that Kim is suffering from. Or if for anything, because Kim was brave enough to tell his story and to share it with the world, maybe that might mean that it's a segue for me to go ahead and share my situation with the world about my anxieties and maybe possibly having a panic attack. Now, again, I want to say it to you guys that this stuff is real. This is absolutely real. Just because a lot of people don't hear about this, they don't know about it, doesn't mean it doesn't exist. That just means that you didn't learn about it. You were not informed. Or, for some weird reason, you think that it's just one of those things where it's fake and it's all in your head and all this stuff. And, I just want to slam it right now by saying no. No, sir. No, ma'am. No, it's definitely real. And the more that you get yourself into a position to understand about it and learn about it, then maybe that you'll have another piece of knowledge under your belt to utilize in the future. We hope. So, anxiety is real. Damn right. Definition of anxiety, according to Webster's Dictionary online, anxiety is a feeling of worry, nervousness, or uneasy emotion, typically about an imminent event or something with an uncertain outcome. Now, the medical definition, which I also found out online, means that anxious thoughts or beliefs that are hard to control, that make you feel restless and tense, therefore interfering with your daily life and daily activities. The second definition that I understood is that it's a mental condition characterized by excessive apprehensiveness about real or perceived threats, typically leading to avoidance behaviors and often to physical symptoms such as an increased heart rate and muscle tension. That alone right there is like a whole bunch of wow. And when I dug in deep a little bit of finding out more about the symptoms, some of it I found out through pictures or online that they had certain charts and they list stuff. But I also went on to WebMD.com, and the listing of symptoms is really shocking, to say the very least. And I thought it was just going to be like a minor, like, maybe about like 7 or something like that. I came up with more than that. And I'm just like really, really surprised. And I want to share this with you guys. So, here we go. I mean, you want to know about the symptoms about anxiety and how it's real. What are the symptoms? Not many people know about, what to look for when it comes to the symptoms of anxiety, because again, they don't know. Well, guys, here are your list of symptoms. Matter of fact, it's a long list of symptoms. Check it out. You have restlessness, fatigue, excessive anxiety and worry, meaning like, you have constant anxiety and worry, increased muscle aches and soreness, impaired concentration, meaning that, you have trouble concentrating a lot, irritability, difficulty sleeping, or, better known as insomnia, a fast heartbeat, meaning that, your heart beats really rapidly, like a machine gun, almost like bra-da-da-da-da-da-da, you know what I mean? Loss of appetite, avoidance or like hiding away, lightheadedness and dizziness, butterflies in your stomach, you have trouble breathing, headaches, memory issues, overthinking, sweating, stomach issues, needing a constant reassurance, a lack of patience, and most importantly, and I boxed this term, panic attacks. That's a lot, guys. That's a lot. Some of these things I kind of knew. Some of these things I did not know. And it took me completely by surprise. Completely by surprise. I was shocked because I didn't think that, certain words and certain symptoms that I just read out had any association with anxiety. But again, ladies and gentlemen, that stuff is real. Stuff is real. You want to hear a little bit about some data that I found out, some statistics? I got it for you. According online at ADAA.org, which stands for Anxiety and Depression Association of America, people suffer from generalized anxiety disorder, and it affects about 6.8 million people in the U.S. Now, when it comes to panic attacks or panic disorders, it affects 6 million people in the U.S. population alone. Now, that right there it's a big number to me. When you reach, to me, it's like, when you reach like the high thousands, that's pretty high, but the fact that it reached the millions is even a lot more than I would imagine. That's serious, guys. That's very serious. I didn't realize how many people, statistically speaking, at least in the United States alone, are suffering in that silence. So think about it this way. If that is happening right now statistically with those exact numbers in the United States alone, imagine what's happening worldwide. Up in Canada, over in Mexico and Central America, over in places like Brazil and Argentina and Paraguay and Uruguay, down over in South America. What's happening in Europe and Asia? You know what I mean? What's happening in Australia, New Zealand, and places like that? Guys, these days, with anxiety and having panic attacks, it's a real big deal. Maybe it wasn't talked about a lot back then in like around like the 50s and the 60s and the 70s and so forth. But, with the times of today, it's a new time. It's a new generation. It's a thing where, like, we need to recognize it now, just like how, and, I'm only using it as an example. We didn't really know about COVID until 2020, It didn't really happen that, way back in the day, but it's something that we have to acknowledge now, and we have to be careful about it. You know what I mean? The more that we do our part to understand about what's going on with the now will help so much later on down the road in, where we navigate our life and how we live it and how we can understand it. When I read this stuff in front of me right now, I never really thought that I would learn so much in a shorter amount of time, because I never really thought that it would happen to me. Like, I know it happened to a lot of people, but it would never happen to me. And the fact that, in the next segment, when I will, talk about my panic attack, my recent anxiety attack, I definitely had a different opinion now about it. It's not like I didn't think about the fact that anxiety was real in the first place. Like, I didn't think it was fake or anything like that. And I didn't think panic attacks were fake. But, now that it's happened to me, I have now, I now have more sympathy towards others that have gone through it. And I have a more understanding now of the situation. And I hope that this episode serves as a vessel in the terms of, it will give you a beacon of hope to try to do whatever it is that you can to kind of combat it in good ways and share it with the world, so that others may know that they're not alone, and that you extend your hand out to say, you know what, you don't have to suffer in silence. It's okay, and we can support each other for sure. It's a real big situation, folks. Real big situation. And I just want to, share that with you guys. That being said, what I'm going to do real quick is that we're going to go ahead and take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk about my recent panic attack. That was caused by a lot of anxiety. So I am going to step out, and I'm going to drink some water, and I'll go over my notes and everything like that. You guys can go ahead and, do what you need to do, whether if you need to get water of your own to drink, or if you need to go to the restroom, or just, do whatever. But come back, because, I want to share to you about something that, is important about, my recent panic attack, and you don't want to miss out. So guys, do what you need to do, because, we're still here. It's a good time. It's great to be alive. And we're doing it here on the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. Ever wanted to make a podcast but didn't know how to do it or where to go? Does the idea of pursuing podcasting sounds great, but you're afraid of the expenses that you have to invest in? Then look no further than Spotify for Podcasters. They have the tools that you need to create the perfect podcast episode that you want, whether if you want to create it in an audio and or video podcasting form. To those that already podcast, Spotify for Podcasters can help you upload your already completed audio/video podcasts to all of the podcasting platforms that you have a membership to. And the best part is that this is 100% free. No hidden costs, no monthly fees, because you don't have to give them your credit card information, and because Spotify for Podcasters want to help by giving back to everybody. So check them out at podcasters.spotify.com and download their app for free on the Google Play Store and or the Apple App Store. Spotify for Podcasters.
And now, back to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience with your host, Kim Hoang.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. Glad that you have enjoyed your break as well as I have. And, back for round two, back in the saddle again, if you will. And, this one's going to be a little bit difficult, you know what I mean? Because never in a million years would I ever discuss something about this. But when I discuss something about it, it's for a purpose, mainly because purpose number one, I want to share my experiences with everybody in hopes that when they listen to it, they learn something from it or they can identify with it, So in this case, it's like if you hear my situation of something bad that happened, somebody might say, yo, I agree with this, because I probably felt the same way. I've been through that experience myself, so I know what he's going through. Or they could say, hey, I can learn something from this. And I really feel bad for him. And, it's unfortunate. And this type of situation happened recently where I literally suffered my first panic attack in a long time. Now, I've had panic attacks before, but nothing like this. And the anxiety of it, was really what brought it together. That really just said, here, this is your panic attack, and we're going to, throw you down on the ground and kick you down on the ground and make you feel like dirt. And, to be honest with you, it happened with a relative of mine. I'm not going to say any names, and I'm not going to say, the position. But I will say it was a relative of mine, and this person and myself have not really had a great relationship, coming up, in life. And it's unfortunate. It really is. What started over a small argument escalated into a big argument, which was not even relevant. From there, an additional argument, which was the subject of, my certain path career choices, hit me and hit my core. Now, let me just start, preface this a little bit. The person in question came over and asked me about a question about their phone, their smartphone. And to which he already solved it by saying, oh, this is what's happening. Okay. Which tells me right then and there, if the answer's already right in front of you, you have solved your own question. So guess what? That meant that I was good. That question was solved. He solved it on his own, and I was okay with it. And I just, concentrated on something else that I needed to do, which was at the time, I was dog sitting a dog. I wanted to go ahead and bring the dog outside so it wouldn't make any mess inside the house. And then, it went to a situation where when I came back, we really went at it. More like he went at it, and I didn't want to go and feed into it, because I didn't want to throw gas into the fire. My thing is like this. If somebody argues with you, I'd rather not take part of it. I'd rather shut my mouth, or I want to go ahead and escape, because it's just not worth it to me. It's not. Two wrongs don't make a right, and again, you can't put out a fire with using gasoline. You know what I mean? It's too flammable. It's too toxic. There's nothing that you can do. And when this person kept on egging it on and egging it on and egging it on and so forth, at first I announced really loud and to myself so that he can hear it that I couldn't breathe and I needed to go outside. I announced it so that, I could try to calm myself down and diffuse the argument, diffuse the situation by stepping away from the negativity to avoid any, I would try to, diffuse the argument by stepping away from the negativity to avoid any, accusation of trying to argue more when I was not. When I was trying to step outside to, keep the peace and to kind of, separate myself from that moment. Because the best way to win a fight is just basically walk away. Don't say anything. Because if you don't say anything, or you don't force anything, or you don't fight, then you automatically won, in my opinion. Moments later, the argument re-engaged, and the person, once again, who started the argument with me, continued. To which, at that moment, I lost control of my breathing. The anxiety, kept on creeping up, and that's when the panic attack happened. I tried to breathe in and out rapidly, the best way I can, because at that moment in time, it was the only thing that kept me going, and it kept me alive. But, I was breathing rapidly. My heart was beating rapidly, and it was like, it almost felt like it was going to, pop out of my chest. And that's not good for people that have congestive heart failure. The moment I was able to get outside, I was breathing deep and I was breathing calm, but I was still not in a good position. And I felt really, I don't know, I just felt like I was really out of it. At that point, I knew I had to go ahead and call somebody. So I called a good friend of mine. I'm not going to say his name, but he has gone through the same thing that I did before. He has gone through a lot of anxiety issues. He's gone through a lot of panic attacks. And when I called him, he said, "Yo, Kim, what's up, dude? What's going on?" I said, "Bro, I am really feeling it right now. I have anxiety up the wazoo, and I have, for the first time in a while, a major panic attack that I cannot calm myself, and I need some help. I need to talk to a good friend right now. Could you please stay on the phone with me?" And at that moment, he knew, and he felt it. And, he said, "You know what? I'm gonna stay with you on the phone until you're in a better place." And at that point, we talked. We talked for a long time. We really talked for a while. I aired out all my grievances of what happened at that moment, and so forth. And there's something that, I'll never forget what he had said. And it meant a lot. It meant a lot to me. It meant a lot, the fact that he said it. It meant a lot that, was coming from a good friend of mine. And, he had just said, "Kim, let me tell you something, brother. First and foremost, I want you to let you know that you are not alone. I've been there, and I've suffered the same thing that you're suffering. Maybe not exactly, the same thing that you're going through right now, but I've had my share of the action. I want to let you know that you're okay and that you're in a safe spot. I want to let you know that this thing that you're feeling is not your fault. You did not feed this upon yourself. Whoever did this to you, whoever gave you all this anxiety and caused this panic attack, unfortunately, is the one that did this to you. But let's not focus on that. Let's focus on, the moment right now. What I need you to do is listen to me, and what I need you to do is to breathe. Forget all the, the mumbo jumbo that just happened and all the BS. Let's not worry about that right now at this moment in time. Let us worry about you being in a better position, and that, by the end of this phone call, maybe you might feel a little bit better. I'm not saying that this is an instant cure, because there is no instant cure. However, I want you to be in a good place. I really want you to be in a good place, because you deserve to be in a good place. You're a good guy. You're a good dude. Anybody who says that you're not a very good person is full of themselves, and they're lying to you, because you're the most selfish or unselfish person. You're not selfish at all. You're the most unselfish person, the most giving, the most caring. And, I love you for that, bro, because to me, when you're not selfish and you're giving of other people, to me, I feel like you're doing a lot of great service for the community and for people in general. And, let's concentrate on that. Let's concentrate on that. Let's not concentrate on the negativity. And we talked. And I gave out my grievances, like I said, and I told him how much it hurt, and how it was coming from family, and so forth. And he got it. He understood it. He said that two wrongs don't make a right here. Sometimes, just because they're blood doesn't mean that they're family. It's really messed up that this person in question did this, and I wish that he didn't. But, what you need to worry about right now is just worry about yourself. Don't worry about anything else. Let's just get you back into square one. Breathe with me. Inhale. Hold it. Exhale. And he told me to do that a couple of times. And then he tried to divert the situation into, other things that we tried to talk about. Like, more positive things that, we were trying to talk about. And he wanted me to focus on that. And he just wanted me to focus on the fact that he wanted me to realize how much of a nice person I am and how much of a potential that I can share with the world. And to see all the good qualities I have rather than focusing on the bad qualities. Because it's like he said, a lot of people, it's easy to pick on a person and pick on the bad qualities. But how many people are willing to talk about, the positive things about that person and the positive stuff that they bring onto the table? It's very rare when somebody does that. And he told me a story about, something that happened to him. There was a lot of anxiety built internally within him, and he didn't think that he was going to make it, because then the panic attack hit, and it hit him hard. But he was basically doing the same thing of what I was doing right then and there, meaning that somebody was guiding him like how he was guiding me. And he just told me just to relax, and it's okay, it's all right. And it just felt good. It felt good to talk to a friend who's been through that motion, that's been through a lot of anxiety and frustration and having panic attacks. And he had told me, like, just because people in the world don't know what anxiety is and don't know what a panic attack is, doesn't mean that it's not real. It's 100% real. And for anybody who thinks otherwise, that it's fake, they're completely lied to. That, or the fact that they don't have the education on that subject because it hasn't hit them. You know what I mean? And I'm really sorry that you had to go through that, bro. I'm really sorry that you did. You didn't deserve it. You shouldn't have to be in that fight. You deserve very good things in your life, just like everybody else. Everybody deserves the good things in life. And when this happens to people in general, my heart feels for them as my heart feels for you now, So I understand it. I get where you're coming from. All is not lost. Listen to me, keep breathing, but most importantly, keep your head up. Because if you don't keep your head up, whatever it is that caused your panic attack and whoever gave you that source of anxiety, you allow that person to win. You allow all the negative hype that they talk to you about, all that haterade that they're feeding you, you allow that to take over your system. And that shouldn't be happening. You should be in a very good place in life right now. You do have a lot that's going on, which is fantastic. Let's concentrate on that. Let's also concentrate on the process of living, because that is important. That is important. And it took a little bit. It took a little bit because although I understand what he was saying, and although I understand, and I realized that, how right he was, because, what he was speaking the truth. He would never lie to me. I still have my reservations and my doubts. But, the best thing that he could just say to me at that point is that regardless, I understand you. I'm with you. I'm right here for you, bro. And please believe that I am not going anywhere. I'm going to make sure that you're in a better situation right now and that you're going to be okay. Because I don't want you to continuously feel exactly what's going on right now. This should not happen. And at that point, I did start to feel a little bit better. Even still right now, I'm getting there bit by bit because, there's no such thing as an instant cure. There's no such thing as, that, it will go away right away just like that. It doesn't work like that. With stuff like this, it does take a lot of time. You have to work through it systematically. And I feel like now, even now, to the present moment in time, I'm slowly working my way back into the swing of things. And I think that it's the little steps and the little things that do matter. Because at least that way I know that eventually and soon enough, things will work itself out. And I know at that point, after all of that, all of that stuff that happened with that situation, I can walk out a better human being and I'll feel a little bit more better about myself. To the person that actually put that upon me, I mean, I there's nothing much more I can say. I really wish there was something that I could say to make the situation a lot better. But I honestly cannot. There's just nothing more that I can say. It's a real messed up situation for sure. And I don't know why you would want to do that. You know what I mean? I think it's wrong that you did that. And I think it's messed up that you did that. To me, when you do that to people, doesn't matter if they're related to you or not, that's very inhuman. That's really inhuman. And I just hope that someday, before your passing, that you do realize this, because it is not okay to make people feel like dirt. It is not okay to make them feel like, excuse my French, but to make them feel like shit. You know what I mean? Where I come from, if you got nothing nice to say, don't say it at all. Keep that crap to yourself. Why would you do that? Because it makes you feel happy? Because, you're compensating for something that you don't have? Give me a break. This from a relative that, have always taught me to be nice to people. I'm beginning to kind of question the validity of, that specific statement from that individual. And again, I'm not going to go ahead and drop a specific name or a specific title. Just at the fact that this person is related to me. And I think that anybody who does that, whether they're related to you or not related to you, one doesn't make it right over the other. Words hurt. And it does hurt people. And to put somebody in a situation where you give them a lot of anxiety and the panic attack happens to them, shame on you. Shame on you. Why'd you do it? It doesn't do me any good. And especially with the health conditions that I got and the congestive heart failure, if I didn't breathe, if I didn't take control, I don't know what would have happened. I'm not saying, that I would have probably, passed on. But I'm not a medical doctor. I mean, stranger things have happened. A lot of strange things have happened. I'm just glad that I'm alive right now. Not to say that I would do anything, to jeopardize myself in that way, because I'm always a fighter. But, I just don't have any room for this. Not at all. Not at all. If you know me, you know that I'm a positive person. I would not dare even argue with somebody. Hell no, it's not in my nature. Everybody knows I'm a peaceful guy. Everybody knows that I'd rather turn the other way unless you try to do something to cause, to take away my life. Like if you're trying to rob me at knife point or at gunpoint, oh yeah, it's on. And I'll make sure that, I slam that situation, case closed, quick and in a hurry. Don't care who you are. I would make sure of that. But if we're just arguing with words, and we're not arguing with any weapons or anything like that, I don't want to give it any satisfaction. I don't want to go ahead and acknowledge it. I'd rather just walk away from the situation knowing that, we're not going to be talking about it anymore. I hate to be the arrogant about this, but I feel like I'm the bigger person to walk away from it because of the fact that I didn't want to escalate the situation. When I put out fires, I put it out with fire extinguishers and water, and depending on what the source of the fire is, whatever it is I need to do to put it away, that's how I'll use it. I don't use gasoline to get rid of fires. It's ridiculous. We're going to go ahead and cut to a break, guys. At this, when we come back, we will end this show. I have a lot more things to say. So just stay with us because the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience, we're coming back. We definitely will. Don't change that dial because we're coming back real soon.
In life, we all want to have great health and excellent physical fitness. However, it's never given, only earned. That said, if you want to go to a gym that will help you to get there, then look no further than Kicked Up Fitness at National Business Parkway in Annapolis Junction, Maryland. Their mission at Kicked Up is to provide the ultimate functioning training facility that focuses solely on your success, with a diverse team that's highly qualified and dedicated to taking your fitness goals to the next level. Kicked Up also offers a variety of group classes and personal training programs that provide something for everyone, regardless of your fitness level. They believe in working hard, achieving results, all while having fun. So come visit their facility in person, which is located at 114 National Business Parkway, Suite 100 in Annapolis Junction, Maryland, 20701. Now, if you see my friend Sean Queen, who's the owner of Kicked Up, tell him that Benny Chow of Miscalculated sent you, and he'll hook you up with a complimentary 7-day pass just to try it out. Need more info? Give him a call. 410-888-9066. Email them at kufitnessnbp@gmail.com or visit them at their website at www.kufitnessnbp.com. Kicked Up Fitness. Never given, only earned.
And now, back to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience with your host, Kim Hoang.
All right, everybody. All right. We are back. Glad to be here once again. And, this is it. We're kind of closing it down and winding it down. Like I said before, in the very beginning, that we are going to do something a little bit more different today. So, for all intents and purposes, we will not have a Q&A. I know. There's going to be no question and answer forum today. And I know there's going to be some people that would probably be like, man, that sucks. I can't believe it, because we do like the Q&A session. We like the Q&A forum. It's amazing and it's awesome. And random questions that do come in, and the fact that you take your time to answer it. Well, first off, I want to say thank you. I do appreciate that. But I felt like today with this episode, it was really important. It was really important for me to go ahead and talk about it. I feel like there's not enough people to raise that type of awareness. And a lot of people, once again, kind of think that, it's just one of those things where, it's just a figment of your imagination. There's no such thing as anxiety. It's fake. There's no such thing as having panic attacks. That's just all in your head and so forth. And once again, I throw this phrase out, like a broken record. It is real. It is real. Mental health is real. Dealing with these things every single time is real. And the fact that, what people go through, whether if it's just like, something that happens internally beyond our control, to the simple things of people saying stuff to you that just really strike a chord and it's really getting on your nerves and so forth. I get that. I do get that. And it's just really wild because, the thing about like anxiety and mental health and having panic attacks, like most things, it's that it can happen to anybody, Let's take a look at it. Like, it doesn't matter in this case, who you are, what gender you are, what your race is. It doesn't matter, like, if you're in tip-top good physical shape or if you're not in good physical shape. It doesn't matter if you're strong, if you're weak. It doesn't matter if you're, the level of your intelligence or whether or not if you have average intelligence. Whatever you can think of. I mean, anxiety can happen, to anybody. It can strike anyone, everywhere, at any time. You know what I mean? And having a panic attack is the same thing. It could hit anybody at any time. You know what I mean? I've seen, many people have panic attacks, and I've even heard stories of like many people getting panic attacks. Everywhere that you see, from just like the average looking person to like somebody that's like super duper tall, somebody who's like really jacked up like a brick house, to just the average looking person. It could happen to anybody. It could really happen to anybody. And my thoughts and prayers go out to all those individuals that are suffering, But the thing about it is, there is a way, to kind of go through those motions. And there is a way to kind of walk the right path to improvement, if you will. Which is basically, you have to seek help and or treatment. Now, real quick, because I know this is the closing moments here, but basically treatments come into two categories where, like, you go and seek professional medical help, or you can do self-treatment. Now, professional medical help or professional medical care is just more like if you're thinking of thinking of the unforeseeable, like your own dismemberment, or you can't complete the work activities of daily living, you really should seek a medical professional immediately. You know what I mean? Or if you can't work or maintain relationships, alcohol abuse or other substances, feeling sad or slowed down, you really need to see that medical doctor. Self-treatments, meaning that, you're doing it on your own. Physical activity, of, various exercises, a healthy diet, regular sleep, relaxation exercises, joining a support group. That's a good one. And if you're in that situation of, going through treatment for anxiety and ways to control, panic attacks, it's best to avoid caffeine, alcohol, nicotine to manage all those symptoms effectively. Now, I am not a medical professional by any means. I'm just going through a little bit of what I've read and what has been suggested. If you actually decide to go that route, you're more than welcome to, but understand that you're doing that at your own risk, and the results may vary per individual. So basically, what it boils down to is that certain things may work for certain people, and certain other things may not work for other people. Like example, just because it works for one person, a different, like this method or whatever of treatment or whatever, does not necessarily guarantee that this another person going through that same treatment is going to work, because it varies for individual. And different types of medical treatment, or like group treatment, or even, do I even say self-help, self-treatment in general, it may vary. You know what I mean? What may work for one person may not work for the other. So it's best to consult with those type of professionals, like the medical professionals that could lead you to the right channels of where to go and so forth. That way you're kind of guaranteed that maybe there might be a good path for you to walk on, and you'll be able to solve whatever kind of situations that you may be having, And the only thing I have to say honestly at this point is that, guys, we're all here trying to live our best lives, and we're all trying to do the best that we can to, enjoy that life. It just sucks when we have the anxiety, and then we have that, frustration, and it's just, presented to us, whether if it's like, human made by somebody that's like throwing it at us, whether if it's by, verbal words, that exchange of dialogues, or through action of certain things. Either way, it's wrong. You don't have to deal with it. You shouldn't have to deal with it. And it's really messed up when, it explodes in your face. The only thing I can do as a podcaster is just to say, you have my love and support. You have my love and support, and, I'm here for you. Just reach out, and if you want to talk about it, let's do it. I'd rather spend my time making sure that other people are okay, knowing that they're going to be in a better place where they once were. You know what I mean? And I make time for everybody, even to my friends that may have some issues, and, they have some problems, and they can't talk to anybody else. They can't confide in people. That's what I'm here for, and I just hope that if there's somebody out there that's trying to reach out to you, because they need the help and they want to talk about it, don't throw that away. You know what I mean? Don't just dismiss them, because that could potentially be a situation of life or death. And for anybody who, does not respect that, shame on you. Like, honestly, that's wrong, and that's ridiculous. And I just hope that, in some fashion, in some way, shape, or form, when you're kind of facing that situation, you'll realize that you were wrong. But that's all I have to say. That's all I have to say. And, guys, we're doing this together. We're facing the challenges together, and we're here for each other. I strongly believe that. And, the only thing I can say is that, you deserve the finest things in life, and you deserve happiness, and you don't deserve to be treated like crap, is the bottom line. You know what I mean? If somebody's treating you like crap and you have anxiety and frustration from it and you get a panic attack from it, hey, I'm with you. And, you're not alone. You're not alone. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up. As a friendly reminder, guys, we actually have a thing where you can actually help the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience by, sponsoring us. We're accepting donations to kind of help improve the quality of our podcast show, and whatever funds that we raise will go to upgrading the quality of our show. By that, we'll get better equipment, and equipment that we need to kind of make things a little bit better. We'll get additional microphones and cables for those microphones, additional headsets and so forth. And, eventually maybe getting a newer MacBook, iMac or a MacBook Pro, so we can actually increase the quality by just getting updated software that we normally use, and that will help us to, navigate our show a little bit better in the more of an audio quality sense. So you can do it by either donating through PayPal and or Venmo. And you can donate it at our screen name, which is at KimHoangMDActor. That's KimHoangMDActor. We also have another app that a lot of people use on a regular basis. I think it's called CashApp, and you can actually donate that on our screen name, the $, which is $, KimHoangMDActor. Once again, that's $, KimHoang. You can donate on a weekly basis, a semi-monthly basis, or a monthly basis, and you can donate as much as you want. If you want to donate as much as $5,000, that's awesome. Although I feel like not many people would do that, but I'm just kind of saying it as a little bit of an inside joke. But you can go ahead and donate $5,000 or $5 million, and you can go as low as just donating $5. Every little bit helps, so we definitely do appreciate that. As a part of the closing process, let's just go ahead and get over with. You can find us on Facebook. Just look us up under the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience under the search bar. Find it, follow it, and show it some love and support. We're also on social media, which is that we are on Instagram and on Twitter, now known as X, and you can find us under the screen name at TKHPC Experience, all in one word, lowercase letters, no spacing. You know what I mean? You follow us and we'll follow you back. We also are on a lot of podcasting platforms, such as Spotify, Apple Podcast. We're on Amazon Music, YouTube Music, and the brand new podcasting / audiobook platform known as Audible, which is powered by Amazon. Now, if you want to be a member of that, there's a free trial membership, a 7-day membership, absolutely free for trying it out. And if you want to become a permanent member and a permanent follower of that platform, you can subscribe to it, and it will cost you $15 per month. Now, do us a favor. If, number one, like and subscribe to our podcast on all the podcasting platforms that we have provided and, let you know about. Number two, if you have Spotify and if you have Apple Podcast, do us a favor. For Spotify, give us a 5-star ranking. We really would appreciate that. And or if you have Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star ranking as well as a positive written review, because the more times that you do that, it's better for us. And then when we get many of those rankings and great positive comments, both Apple Podcasts, and Spotify will take our podcast and throw it in the front of the lines for people to see, like, hey, this is a really good podcast and you should check it out. And then it could be like, if you see it, you can go like, oh my gosh, that's the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience show. Kevin told me about this and said I should check it out. Yes, please check it out. Like it, subscribe to it, tell your friends, and, share it online. We have power of, the super information highway, and we have the power of, social media. So share it on your social media. Share it on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, now known as X. We also have Snapchat, and share it on TikTok, because sharing is caring. It's also called brand awareness. So the more that people know, the better it is. You know what I mean? Last but not least, if you want to be a special guest host, if you have any constructive criticism, or if you have any questions that you would like to ask for a Q&A form, which we normally do on a regular basis, please email us at thekimhoangpodcastexperience@gmail.com. Whatever the subject is, just go ahead and write it in the subject box, and then whatever kind of comments or questions or requests that you have, write it in the body of the email. Let us know what's going on, what your purpose is. Email it, and we will get back with you within 24 hours or 48 hours. We do love reading communication. We love to get that correspondence, and we love to communicate with you guys. So that's it. That's everything, guys. I do want to appreciate you so much and say thank you for your time, and just talk about something that's real and something that's very important, because once again, mental health is important. Body can't function without the brain. You take the brain out of the body, and nothing happens. Then it's not there. Know that I love you guys, and I appreciate you guys, and I'm always here to support you in any which way that I can. Just please be safe out there. Make the right decisions in life, because it doesn't do us any good if something bad happens to you and, for some weird reason you land into a pine box and get buried 6 feet under. We don't want that to happen to you. We want you to be healthy. We want you to be happy. We want you to love life. We want you to be in the right mindset, because you deserve the best things in life, and you deserve to be happy. You don't deserve all the BS and the negative energy that, that causes anxiety, frustration, and to cause you to have a panic attack. We want you to be in a good headspace, and we want you to be good, and we want you to be happy, and we want you to live your life, live your best life, because, you deserve that. And anybody else who tells you that you don't deserve that, tell them to go kiss your butt. You know what I mean? Tell them to go somewhere, kick rocks, or jump off a bridge for all you care. You know what I mean? But that's it. That is everything. That is all. And if you guys need anything, please feel free to contact me, and and I'll do my best to help you out in any way I can. I truly mean that. But I want to say thank you, guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you for caring. Thank you for your undying love and support. I truly mean that. It's really appreciated, and it's just a blessing. It's a blessing to be here, and it's a blessing to have you guys along for the ride. I truly mean that. So for the one time, over in the greater Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, in the Asian Sensation Studios, inside of our beta room, this is your host with the most, the man with the plan, the guy that's doing it for you guys, the host with the most, the Asian Sensation, Kim Hoang, saying thank you so much. We appreciate you. We love you. And we're going to go ahead and do it again real soon. Guys, God bless each and every one of you. Take care of yourselves. And let's do it again real soon on another episode. Much love and respect, guys. Much love and respect. Deuces. I am out. Peace.